子最正常。好啊，这么威严。那你要哪一个字？那就好了，就是刚才的那个。Oh, my toes feel so good in the sand. Ooh, it is raining a little bit. Okay, gotta get this going. I just made a trip back home and I actually really considered staying. See, in my previous episode, I talked a lot about what I came here to achieve and why I'm here in the first place, along with my roommate, along with my new home. But being here for 4 months, there's always that thought of US is where the opportunity is and Taiwan doesn't have a lot in store. And that thought has always kind of crept up because that's something that even people that are around me in Taiwan, that a lot of my peers and a lot of my parents and other elders and adults in my life have usually said about life over here. So that feeling kind of crept up and I was always thinking like, what if that is true, right? What if I wasted 4 months here and didn't do anything? I could always go back, right? And there, at some point I need to acknowledge the little bit of truth that's in that statement because there's so much to do in the United States. The wages are so much higher, first of all. Like, I can make there in 2 weeks what I make here in 2 months. You know, there's so many big companies, there's so many different industries that you can really succeed, and so much money moving through America, if you know what I'm saying. There's so many ways of defining success and so many different avenues of achieving that success in the United States that I just don't see here. And, you know, it got me thinking that I left so much behind over there. Right, not as in like I'm on a sailboat with like $5 in my pocket coming here, but in the sense of like all my connections, all my relationships, and all my proof of what I've done in the community is all over there. And that feeling of leaving that behind is pretty daunting sometimes, and I think honestly it would be for anybody, right? And I think going back home, even though I was only there for really 9 or 10 days, going back home kind of put me back in that environment. And even though I spent 4 months over here, once I landed in DC, it felt like I was back in the rat race where I just quit my job. I had to go back in the rat race of throwing resumes into the abyss, applying for jobs that don't really exist or have very little to no opportunity to actually do anything with. I was back in that environment of, I'm back at home, like this is where I'm from. It's like someone pushed play back on where I left off in the episode once I got back. And the main reason why I made the trip back was to actually go support our Washington, D.C. Heritage Day event with the basketball team in Washington, D.C. And this event was kind of the culmination of a lot of the cultural events and efforts that I have been doing, that my team in DC has been doing for the past 3, 4, 5, even decade of work. And it's just a big culmination, a big community event. And so I felt like it was important enough for me to fly 18 hours back to help that event out. But see, even with all the conflicting thoughts in my mind and really being back in that environment after 4 months, I think throughout this time, I realized when I'm not in Taiwan, I really miss being able to walk everywhere and get everything you need. And even being able to avoid the constant rush hour traffic that I experienced back in America and be able to just breeze by on the metro over here. And even times like this where I can be in the mountains or on the beach during the day and then make it back home to the city by the evening. Or even be at both places at the same time, in the mountains, right next to the mountains and in the beach. And especially just the sheer variety that every single day brings you here. Back at home, anytime Taiwan's brought up, it's always about political tensions, risk of war, where are we even on the map? Like, reducing ourselves down to a military liability or just a pure analysis of technological imports and exports. Back at home in that circle, my Taiwanese circle, or even extending beyond that, it feels like we're always defending our right to exist. We're always constantly having to say, we're Taiwan, not China, or we're Taiwan, not Thailand. We're not this, we're not that. We're not a weak little island and we can defend ourselves. We're this, we're not this, we're not that, we're not this, we're not that. Hey, this isn't us, this is us. We don't do this, we don't do that. And here's what bothers me most. I feel like we as a community, and I could be here in Taiwan, but mostly talking about back home, we've been so accustomed to Taiwan being a political talking point that we've reduced ourselves to just a political talking point. But this is our heritage, and it's so much more than just that. Shoot, even our cultural organizations back home have distanced themselves from each other because of Taiwanese political issues 10,000 miles away. It's ridiculous that happens. I've even realized people in Taiwan also inherently devalue the existence of Taiwan and what Taiwan has to offer, always looking to other countries for what's the next biggest thing instead of looking at what we have here. And we've talked so much about what we're not, but what are we? As people of Taiwan, what are we? And it's always been a question that I've been able to answer slowly more and more, but I feel like people don't take enough time to answer and don't take enough time to actually think about what that is. See, now that the background story has been set, with kind of where I am, what I'm doing here, and now this conversation, this very candid conversation with you, I think what I really want to do with this channel is just be somewhere where we can openly discuss culture and heritage and stories and show people what we are and slowly find that visual identity and that cultural identity that we are as a place together. And hopefully show that there's so much more than just politics that we can have meaningful discussions about. See, I'm thinking I'd do some more vlog content, kind of introducing things, daily life, fun places, and having a better introduction of more story kind of type of thing that you're used to seeing probably, introducing different places in Taiwan, and then also having somewhere I'm just walking around shooting photos and you get a POV of what I'm shooting, how I'm seeing things, and just being able to share my photography and also having a very candid recording. Because like I said, people aren't really having these conversations, but this place means too much to me. I love that I'm able to find stories of culture and heritage and inspiration here at any given place, any given moment. And I love how easily meaningful conversations and interactions with strangers can happen, and how those even seemingly small conversations can have such big impact. And I love that every single street corner and every single alleyway and every single place you go has a surprise right around the corner for you. I encourage all of you to be an active part of this process and this channel and this diaspora. Tell me the stories and places that you want to see, or the places or things that you want to visit or that you want to explore. Or even tell me what your favorite things are that you want me to check out. Because we're going to show people back at home and people all around the world what this place is. This place that we call Taiwan, also known as Formosa.